In this segment, we'll seal a cylinder with an end cap. This cylinder is made out of Delrin. We have a bore on the inside here for a radial seal, and then a face surface here for a face seal. Between the two, I try to always have a face seal when I can, because what really causes an O-ring to fail is any kind of gap. So with a face seal, the chances of getting a gap are like 0 because it's just pushing hard against the end. Radial seal though, the plug going into the piston, or like the plug going into the bore here, you got to have a little bit of a gap, just so you can assemble it. Because if you get it, a little bit off center, off axis, it'll jam and scar and do bad things. So you can see our end cap here. We've got a face seal. It's a double seal system. We've got a face seal, and then we have a radial seal here. So we take the plug that goes inside the bore, we cut a groove, and then, but it's actually two parts to this thing. One is the O-ring, which is that guy, and the O-ring is reinforced by this backup ring. So the backup ring doesn't actually provide anything for sealing, but it's sort of like a catcher's mitt. The two things that will make a difference for an O-ring failing is the gap, the width of the gap, and the durometer of the material. So you want a softer durometer to seal, but a harder durometer to resist extrusion. And so what this does, by putting the backup ring on the back side of the O-ring, so pressure is coming this way, that 90 durometer backup ring reinforces the 70 durometer O-ring, and so it eliminates extrusion. It's a really good thing. It's very cheap. It only makes your groove here just a little bit wider. So it's really a smart idea to use it every time you use a radial seal. And then the face seal right there. So we've gone ahead and we've cleaned and we've greased these things. We've inspected the O-rings. We made sure that there's no debris or lint or pebbles or anything on there that's going to interfere with the sealing process. And so we can go ahead and fit this in here. And then as we drop it in, inside here the bore, we have a bit of a chamfer to help kind of route this radial seal in tighter so that it engages easily the bore. And then we either push it down, or the other thing we do is get a little vacuum assist. So we'll hook on our Deck Purge Box here with the vacuum pump. We'll switch it over there, we'll turn it on. Boom. And so the vacuum helps pull this thing in with the atmospheric pressure pushing down. So now, whack, where there's not a lot of volume in here, so we're already at the maximum level of our diaphragm pump. So now we go back the other way and back to 0. Move it back up. Hold it right there. Whoop. Pick it back up. There. And now you're measuring the internal vacuum. It's sitting pretty solid right there. So that would mean all the seals other than this one are fine. We haven't checked this one. We can't until we put it all together. The last one's a little bit of a leap of faith. So that's that. So then we can take this off. And turn it off. We've already cleaned and greased this O-ring surface here, inspected the O-ring, and screw it on. So this is a Delrin cap. This is a Delrin body. Run it down, finger tight. And right at that very end there, you can kind of feel where the plastic starts to come together there. So you just bring it down just a little bit, compress that O-ring, and engage the bottom of the cap to the top of the tube. And there you go. So there's also another little feature that we have here that I wanted to show. Let me take this off. And that's actually, if we have a vacuum pump here, is pulling air from out of the cylinder and then exhausting it right there. So we actually have a little bit of positive pressure coming out of here. And we can use that. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So first we're going to take that cap off. And this is kind of helpful if you're going to. There's no screws holding this in there. We're using that surface there for the O-ring. The vacuum's holding it, and the deeper you go, the higher the pressure is that holds that together. So let's take the cap off of this, and we have a second cable that has the fitting that goes here, and a fitting that actually engages the exhaust port. They're different though, so you can't plug this into this. They're different fittings. So helpful if when you go to sea. And now we're going to put this on here. We put the red line on here to indicate that there's positive pressure on this as well. So I'm going to put that on there. And so now, if we're on interior pressure, if we turn this on, we're going to go to vacuum. But in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to be using the exhaust created by the air being sucked in by the vacuum. So here we go. A little bit of pressure there, let's pop it off. And so so if you get a sticky end cap, that's a good way to get it off. Just put a little bit of pressure on the inside to sort of puff it off. Not a lot of volume, not a lot of pressure, just enough to give you a hand getting it off easily.